Thank you very much once again. Let me welcome you back to this one aristocratic channel of ours. And this is MATRIC+NATED Specialist. Ensure that you are hitting the subscription button and ensure that you are sharing to those who are concerned. And then today we are going to look and we are going to anticipate in English, first additional language, grade 12. This is grade 12. And then we are talking about the slave dealer. This is the poem which was written newly, and then it is the slave dealer. It is part and parcel of the uh, first additional language, grade 12. So you must understand that you must refer back to the playlist that has been you must also make sure that you refer back to the previous poems. This poem up until to the last week. And then this poem was written by Thomas Pringle, is the publisher of Thomas Pringle was Portland on the he died by 1834. In 1820, he's often called the father of South African poetry. So we can see that over his life, he grew up writing this poem and he went places to places. And he saw that slavery was practiced by people whom they have financial wealth, they have power, and they traded in terms of poem. There's a soul town, but the view Pringle expressed. So he was suppressed. There were a lot of suppression. Remember that in the olden days, there were legislation which were sub in Southern Africa. He returned to London in 1826 and the anti-slavery movement. So you can see that back in the days, and there was no way that you can stop that from being practiced. People who have power, they took control of those that are the minors that we need to understand very well. And then let us summarize the poem. This slides the subject of slavery from the dealer point. Man, this is slavery for people fully to their countries or the continent. So refer to poem. Remember that in the examination, at least read the poem twice. The slavery dealer by Top Wanderer came. His mother as knew her long lost son. So altered was his face and frame by the ill course he had run. In stanza 2, remember that stanza 2, they were an for fierce and forceful by remorse and pain. Right? And the other stanza, at times as his features near her child, it lasted at good thought. Hence, he said in line 19, and then let us go to which water cannot have fled as a gash. Line 25, while Negro blood sprang high, and now my soul from prayer, dear mother, wild death cry. Then in line 30, ever in my ear, hallelujah, as when in death me thou must judgment day. Right? And then we go to line 39. Now from Frazy keep my son, the woeful window cry, and has done some fiend thy soul by. Nay, mother, the avenging one, died. The rich I crushed, no mortal night appeal was registered on high, and now with God I have to deal, and dare not meet his eye. All right, now we have read the poem. After we have read the poem, we need to analyze the words that we don't know. And then on placing as a traveler is a wanderer, and then we came across the word visage. A visage is an image or a facial expression. How do you appear? Obviously, that you are going to be surprised and shocked, and some of the things that you see. And then we've got some word which is angry and vicious. And then we are having the word gory. And then that is brutal, gruesome, violent, and bloody. And then we are having gash and the basic meaning of it. And then we are having a quash. It is to cancel, woeful, It is sad, miserable, and unhappy. And then we've got the reaping is twisting about a mother has suffered through and losing now his son. And then if ever we are moving on again, we can see that we are having some other words that we need to see. And then these words we are having again, the word friends and the mental aging of a person. And then we are having the fiend, which is regarded as the evil spirit that it is haunting people to commit such. All right. And then the other question that can arise on the poem, they can say, name the type and the form of the poem. So this poem is a ballad. It's not a Shakespearean sonnet. It is what we call a ballad, which retells the story of a son who returns home to his mother after being away for a long time, trading in slaves. The poem has 8 stanzas, which are the paragraphs, and stanzas of 6. They have 6 lines each. Each stanza has its own rhyming scheme. Very important. And then let us go to the analysis now of the poem. So we need to understand these wordings. Keep tuning. This one is very important up until to the last. And then we can see that in stanza 1, in line 1 and 2, the slave dealer is compared to the traveler whose face has turned to brownish color because of he has been spending a lot of time in the sun. He has been wandering. He's a wanderer. His mother does not recognize him in line 3 to 6 because the harshness of the sun has altered his outward appearance. So the ultraviolet from the sun, they were stronger in his skin, therefore there is a presence of the darkness. And then the evil path he had chosen is also reflected in his face and the frame. She only recognizes him after he tells her his name. The long lost suggested that she last saw him a long time ago. So that is the harshness of the poem. Here we are having the mother, and the mother is seeing the son after the long time because of he was being kidnapped, and then he was the dealer now of this evil spirit. He even sees in the structure saying, in stanza 2, in line hot, he is angry at himself. The bad thoughts of what he had done haunt him, and he cannot get rid of them. His mother tries unsuccessfully to make him change his thoughts and forgive himself. Hearing of what he has done, he's showing remorse because of he was the dealer now of this human trafficking. In stanza 3, at times, just for a brief moment, the slave driver gets a gleam of hope, but it does not last long. In line 13 and 14, prays with him. Remember that in that line, we are having when the mother is praying with him to leave the path that he has chosen. Therefore, the mental picture and the thoughts of all the bad deeds, they chase the good thoughts away in line 17 and things. But let us do good things, therefore we can have good thoughts and memories. And in line stanza 4, in line 19 to 20, we are saying the speaker continues to be haunted by the horrible deeds he has been committed. The blood of innocent people killed during his days as a slave trader. Remember that this person was trading girls, boys for human trafficking in other countries for them to do the dirty work. Therefore, others were killed in this process by him and they were innocent. That is why now the blood is showing us that those people who were killed, they were innocent. And therefore, he feels that he cannot be forgiven for his actions, which water cannot wash. So we can see that in that alignment where he's saying which water cannot wash, he's saying that the actions cannot be washed away based on the sins that he have committed. In line 20, there is a tinge of regret in the speaker's tone. He believes that it would have been better if the blood was spilled on a battlefield, which is considered a heroic. So you are a hero, but he was not doing this on the battlefield. In lines 20 to 24, the speaker gives a clear picture of what causes his hands to be covered with blood, using a whip to vigorously lash at the slaves. So this is the sad story indeed. It is a a very sad poem. We can see that each stroke opens a deep cut which the blood flows. There is a contrast between someone who kills when he is brave in the war and the speaker who is a coward and beats up the helpless people who can offer no resistance. Remember that when we have took those people forcefully, so they are powerless. So you are killing those people. That is cruelty. In stanza 5, we are having line 25 and 26. The speaker continues giving clear images of his horrific action. He uses the hyperbole, which is the figures of speech, to emphasize the inflicted on the slaves in line 26. No amount of water can wash the blood from his hands in line 27 and 28. And then in line 28, the speaker uses a metaphor, which is the figures of speech, of the dye to refer to the blood of the slaves that the trader is guilty of shedding. The blood is compared to the dye that can never be washed out. So he's reminiscing based on the action that he has done and the sorrows that he has brought to people. He has forcefully so taking them from their homes. Now is another mistake that he has conducted. For these things, they haunt him over and over and over again. They haunt us in our lives. Okay? And then if ever we are moving on again, in line 29 to 30, the speaker says his mother's prayers cannot erase the sounds of the human's cry before she died. The agony that he put her through still haunts him even now. All right. And then if ever we are moving on, we are going to stanza 6. And then in stanza 6, we begin again in line 31. The speaker confesses that the sound of the woman's cry keeps on ringing on his ear, ever in my ear. It makes it very difficult for him to pray. So you see, sometimes when you do things, it is even very difficult to accept prayer. He still has the clear mental image of how she looked as she lay dying from the injuries the speaker had inflicted on her. He can still hear the sound of her voice. The human reminds him that he will be judged with her on the judgment day. Remember that on the judgment day, according to the Bible, our sins are going to be read and others would win, would become, or would emerge victorious. And then if ever we are moving on, we are now in the stanza 7. In stanza 7, we are having the figures of speech, which is called the alliteration. In line 38, it emphasizes the torturous thoughts the mother she has. She prays and says that her son has been possessed by an evil spirit. The son explains it is not true and that the avenging angel has witnessed his evil deeds. In stanza 8, the alliteration of the WR sound in line 43, it hardens the sounds to show how she moved to try to save herself from him. And then if ever we are moving on again, we are seeing that based on the stanza 8, the angry, hell-furious Hill creates a clear image of the brutality with which he kills the slave. And then in line 45 and 46, if you refer back again, the woman's pleading cries are ignored by the speaker. But God listens as she cries out. In line 47 and 48, the speaker states he must face his fate before God and he is very scared. All right. And then we are moving again to number 4, which we are talking about. We are discussing the themes now. One of the theme of the poem that we have read, remember that the theme is the central idea of the poem, is the torment. So we are seeing that the speaker reveals the slave's dealer torment and anguish, turmoil and sadness through the emotive language that is evident throughout. So there is what? There is a repetition of torment that is taking place. Right. And then you can see that the poem tells us the slave dealer is haunted by the deeds he committed when he was involved in the slave trading. So even if he is retired, but still there is what? There is a haunt at night. And then we are having slavery as the second theme. We are saying this is the horror of slavery is told throughout the personal experiences. The speaker who is a slave dealer, the slave dealer who is a wanderer, therefore was the person who forcefully removed slaves from their families and from the loved ones. And then there is a sense of remorse as the ideology or the central theme of the poem. And then we are saying that the speaker is experienced the slave dealer feelings through in stanza 4. There is blood upon my hands. This shows he feels responsible for someone's death. He is filled with remorse for killing people and taking what it is not his. So let us learn that it's not good to go and do things that they are going to haunt you later on. Let us keep our. Okay, sorry for the thought. And then we are the speaker is using is referred to the diction. For example, instead he can say he has passed away instead of he has died. That is a diction. And figurative language, we are having number 1, which is a metaphor. It is used in line 1 and 2. From ocean's waves, turned and done, the slave leader is compared to the normal traveler who has a deeply turned face because of he has been out in the suns for a long time. In line 7, we've got a method. The anger he's carrying inside him is compared to the fever which makes him to. There is blood upon my hands. So that is a figurative image. The fact that he has clearly has the blood of a matured person on his hands. And then we are having the contrast again as the figure of speech. And there's a contradiction or a controversy between, and now in stanza 4, there's a contrast between someone who kills in war, which is a sign of bravery and victory, of being victorious. And the speaker is a coward and beats up helpless people who are tied up and can offer no resistance. They cannot fight back. This thought now haunts him. And then again, we see the alliteration that is in line 11, and it says, for fierce and forcefully was his mood. The repetition of the letter F sound, it slows down the pace. In line 38, the woeful wind cried, the soft W sounds emphasizes the torturous thoughts of the mother. As he seeing the child, he was tormented. In line 43, the writhing with a furious heel, the WR sound, it hardens the words to show how vigorously she moved to try and save herself from him. We are having the imagery. We are saying here, the speaker uses images to prove feelings of sadness, shock, or disbelief. In line 12, racked by remorse and pain, image of the line 43 to 44, in red, it is a mortal high, is an image of evil. And then we are having the hyperbole in line 20, which waters cannot wash. It reads as follows: which waters cannot wash. It indicates that his guilt cannot be removed. Any guilt cannot be removed, okay, because of the actions. And then number 6 here, let us go to the last part, which is the tone and the mood of the poem. As the speaker regrets his mind deeds or the misdeeds, and then the mood is somber and said as the speaker of what he has done in the past. Thank you very much for your time. Tune on for the activity and the questions of the poem. Again, ensure that you are hitting the subscription button and ensure that you are sharing to those who are concerned at MATRIC+NATED Specialist. Thank you very much.